I've been thinking a lot about this. You know, this world is not our resting place. Come what may. Following up on a video I just posted from TikTok, it was a woman who was saying, like, professing, and like, I'm not just going to scroll past. Like, this woman had something to say. She was like, Satan does not take from you. You allowed that. You allowed that, or God's will in your life allowed that. My words, not hers, for a reason. So the sacrifice of the dog was coming upon the events of going to Cornwall to see James Casbolt. James Casbolt, as I understand and I believe, collects all of the power from Luciferian worship. This is a religious group, and he deals largely in fear. And I mean no disrespect, and I don't really, I don't hate him for this, but the being himself deals largely in fear and intimidation. So it's interesting how she went missing January 21st. She was found January, somewhere around there. It was like 7 days later. And then, it was on the horizon of going to Cornwall. And it was interesting because even though my neighbor has a lot of problems, close neighbor of mine, she has a lot of problems with possession. And she called me, and she was possessed naturally. And she was like, you did this. You did this. You're the one who did this. But I know that she's very much demonically possessed. So I, just kind of, I don't know, talked her. Like, I don't know what I did, but she was like calling me saying, I did this. I did this to my own dog. And I think she was actually projecting a lot because her husband died and it was very tragic. And I feel like she feels some responsibility for it. So there is some like sacred geometry kind of tying into her and I's relationship where her husband died. And I do feel maybe perhaps she was projecting because maybe perhaps she had something to do with it, not knowing. Like naturally, I would have something to do with my dog sacrifice, like not knowing it, right? Like being unable to understand this until after the fact. So then I had text James Casbolt and I was like, my neighbor is saying you did this. And I was saying that she was saying it to me, but he started to freak out. And he was like, what do you mean? She's saying, I did this, kind of panicking, like she knows him and that he is the one who did this. And I was like, no, she was saying that I did this. But he was panicking, thinking that he has something to do with this. But, I mean, the reality of the matter is he absorbs Luciferian sacrifice. So, as a Luciferian sacrifice, naturally, as soon as it happened, when I found her, I was like, why did this happen? Like from a religious perspective. And he said, well, the Satanists, from their religious perspective, a Satanist will say, this is like an eye for an eye. Like, you stole from us, so we're going to steal from you. And I'm going to steal everything from this world. Don't get me wrong. Like Mother America rising, like the mother rising. Like, yeah, I will steal everything from this world in a principality, right? From a spiritual way, from a spiritual manner, from a representation of an energy that I project. Yeah, dude, I'm going to steal everything until it's all done. So from a satanic perspective, he was saying it's like an eye for an eye. But he said from a Luciferian perspective, it is, they believe life comes out of death. This is why Old Testament people sacrifice. They believe life comes out of death. And that should make you feel good, but it doesn't make me feel good because that's not my religion. That's not the religion I will ever adopt. It's going to happen regardless. It's part of God's perfect plan. But he said Luciferians believe that life comes out of death. So that, even though she had died and went missing, all these people were brought to me, all this love was brought to me because of her going missing and being sacrificed. And I personally have to make a choice. My dog didn't have to die for your stupid religion, because I am, through Jesus Christ, a daughter of God. So it was like kind of like a choice to like believe that, or to like not, and just break hellfire loose through the angels, through the will of God on earth, because I still will not submit to that religion. I still will not. And my Muslim boyfriend, he's like this big cult leader of Muslims, and he was like, well, Muslims don't really believe anything. They just believe like shit just happens, like weird stuff just happens. But it's no wonder that as soon as I met his handlers, the very first thing the dude said to me was, we don't really do dogs, because if anything happens to your dog, it's your fault. He said that like straight out as soon as I met this dude. You know how aliens, these are very alien people, you know how aliens really work outside of time, just like we work outside of time. So I just remembered that from encountering like the almighty Muslims. If something happens to that dog, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your doing. That's why we don't do pets. That's why we don't do dogs. It's because it's your fault. So I don't subscribe to the Muslim religion. I don't subscribe to the Luciferian religion. I certainly don't subscribe to the Satanic religion. I still subscribe to the religion of redemption through Jesus Christ to God. And it's even scarier when you take it back. It's even scarier when I decide to take it back. Like, it's even scarier for the world that this happened, but I decided to take it back. And there's a lot of fear tactics, right? It's a lot of fear mongering. And it was. The spiritual death of the dog was a lot of fear mongering about Luciferianism. Like, I still won't join your religion. That's why I didn't want to go to Cornwall and London, because I didn't want to go to Cornwall and London. But a lot of it was, I would not agree to Luciferianism. And that's no reflection of James Casbolt. I think he could perhaps make a choice to deny his faith of Luciferianism in terms of the death of the dog. I don't subscribe to your religion. I haven't talked to him very much at all. I hope, and it doesn't matter, right? Like, it doesn't make a difference. Maybe I'll never talk to him again because I don't subscribe to your religion. There was no fear mongering. There was no amount of fear mongering that was going to make me Luciferian as a means to conjoin with you, even if we are related, even if we are that close. Still, I will not be Luciferian. I will never fall to the fear of Lucifer. And that's a scarier point for the world, I believe, in a spiritual sense. This is a scarier position for the world when, after all is said and done, I do not subscribe to any of your religions. Even the Christian faith, Christians will say you must have been living in sin, and this is why this happened. And they wouldn't be completely wrong, because the reason why this happened had to be for some type of future allegiance that I was supposed to make to Luciferianism. But I didn't make the allegiance to Luciferianism. I canceled my trip. I don't talk to James Casbolt anymore. And maybe he can deny the faith as a Luciferian. Can you do it? I mean, can he do it? I don't know. Will he want to do it? That's up to him. It makes no difference, because Jesus is Lord. Because everything is under God's authority through Jesus. And I stand on that time and time again. I know this world is weird. My grandfather came to me in a dream after he died, and he was like, I came back. I'm going to come back. I was always going to come back. The dog is going to come back in some way, shape, or form. They always come back. And it's no wonder that they resurrected this dire wolf when I used to refer to Athena as a wolf, and they named them Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi. Like, it's no wonder to me that this is what has transpired on this mainstream network about the dire wolf being resurrected from DNA, but, you know, the spirit and the soul lives on. And I know that to be true because I have no reason to believe otherwise. And I will not subject myself to all these freaking religions, religious people. This is why I go against all religious people. For the most part, it's not Jesus through God, a relationship with God through Jesus. You're deceived. Like, people are going to have to figure this out for their own. Because I had an opportunity to just forfeit, and it's like I'm constantly presented with opportunities to diminish myself as a woman under God through Jesus. I have constant opportunities to diminish myself as a woman of God under Jesus, God through Jesus. I am constantly, like, this is my spiritual warfare because it can't be too obvious. I'm constantly presented with the ability, with like the option, can you diminish yourself? Nope. No, it's never going to happen. And that's a lot scarier for the world. It's a lot scarier for the world when we take that authority. So, God's will be done. All right, check you later. Have a good night.